All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 31 of DAO Talk Weekly. I believe it's 31, maybe it's 32. If you're listening to this, you know which one it is. So maybe I'm wrong. Here we are. We're back. This is your one-stop shop for everything DAOs. I am Tommy.
And I'm Frisson.
And let's get into it. This is the week of January 12th. Tomorrow's Friday the 13th. Wow. So a little Friday the 13th, a little spooky episode.
I've been feeling good about the markets, but now I'm feeling a little scared.
Yeah, maybe tomorrow we tank, but maybe not. Not financial advice. However,
bro, if you're taking financial advice from DAO Talk,
you have bigger problems.
There's nothing that can be done to help you.
You're taking crypto advice and financial advice from the most niche podcast in the history of the fucking world. I mean, I respect it, but you're giving us way too much credit. You should see our DMs to each other. It would make your eyes bleed. But okay, let's get into the down news. This week, we're starting off with a tweet from, is it Dina? I don't know. Founder of Boys Club.
I think it's Dina. I should know because I listen to their podcast. Oh, I think you do too.
We just exposed ourselves.
That's embarrassing. Oh, well.
Whatever. We'll keep this in. Great post from her, good tweet from something that's been happening for a good amount of time. Brought it to the forefront because it was a little bit quiet on this front, but some interesting news updates out of the Reddit community point situation, which is kind of them turning subreddits into DAOs with tokens, voting, and bounties. Frisson, give a little technical background here. What's happening over at Reddit and why this is so, in my opinion, is bullish for the space as a whole.
Yeah, it's really cool. As Dina points out, they don't use the word DAOs to describe what they're doing, which I think makes sense because it's kind of hard to explain what a DAO is. Most people who use Reddit don't know what a DAO is. It's a loaded term. In general, you're seeing these Web2 platforms kind of like put the crypto under the hood, but use less crypto terminology to describe it, which I think is savvy. But this is exactly what they're doing. They're basically allowing subreddits to become DAOs. So it says it's community points. It's in beta. Own a piece of your community. Add a custom token to your subreddit. Earn rewards. Encourage quality content and unlock special features. So they're trying to bring some of this like Web3 ownership, democratic, technology and ideals into Reddit. They've been, I believe they've actually been like working with Arbitrum on this, like kind of Arbitrum is like under the hood. Arbitrum built a chain called Arbitrum Nova that I think kind of originated from their work with Reddit on community points. So this is definitely like crypto and definitely like interesting crypto, right? Like L2, like roll up technology under the hood. I think this is called like a Validium, where Arbitrum Nova is like, there's like some level of off-chain sort of like data commitments happening, but it's also it also has like, security guarantees from Ethereum. So they're using fancy, cool, innovative crypto Ethereum tech and trying to position it in a way that it will be adopted at scale by subreddit communities, which is super dope. We love to see it.
Yeah, I see a lot of adoption moving forward. It's kind of like a prediction coming from situations like this, where you have existing very large social platforms, maybe not even social, like something we always talk about. I think we've had a couple conversations of this like during DAO NYC with the Tally team at like dinner. It was like Apple could single-handedly like onboard 3 billion people to Web3 indirectly or directly by just supporting like wallets on their phone or wallets like natively in iOS. So obviously that's like super edge bullish case, right? That would be fucking awesome if that happened. However, I see it happening more in like a grassroots fashion, similar to this with Reddit, where like you mentioned earlier, they're not actually using the word DAO. They're not using these buzzwords that have a lot of stereotypical negative associations with them, which we can discuss at a different time, but like that's where we're at right now. And some of these words just can't be used to onboard people because there's such a negative association with it. But I think that's what needs to happen, right? I think people, if they're not going to understand the tech, the way we understand it and the way we learned it with our introduction to DAOs and NFTs and these words, they're going to have to understand it in a different way. Because like the cliche, like, oh, NFTs, but the tech underneath is life changing. Like, yeah, that's true. But you can't just ignore the fact that we've, for better or worse, or forever, whatever reason you want to chalk it up to, billions of people hate crypto and hate Web3. And that's not going to change. I mean, in terms of like those words, those prejudices. So like, how do we indoctrinate them? I don't like using that word, but like, how do we show them, what this tech is capable of, without, putting a bad taste in their mouth? And I think stuff like this is the way that we're going to have to do it. Like Reddit and the gaming community, I think there's been so many thought pieces on all of this, but it's like, in theory, they would be the people that would get it the easiest, and they would be the ones that would adopt it the quickest. But that hasn't been the case, right? So we have to find different ways to do it. Like, you got to Trojan horse this shit in it, because they're already kind of doing it. Like, this extension of Reddit is nothing, like, they didn't change anything per se. They're just building on top of a use case that already existed and implementing new technology, right? Same thing with like when you buy a Fortnite skin. It's like, that's the whole, like, that's the big analogy. It's like, it's the same concept, right? You're just putting different tech on top of it that is then, giving people more ownership, enabling more, collaboration and et cetera. So
yeah, exactly. I think positioning it as just like another extension of Reddit is really smart. And I wonder also if it makes people feel more like it's theirs, because if I'm part of like a really cool online community about gaming, I can definitely see how the crypto stuff is a turnoff, because all the like insider terminology and stuff, it kind of creates like an in crowd that you're not part of. Right. And so then we kind of like hit people over the head with that terminology. It's like, oh, crypto, NFTs, Ethereum, they're kind of like, I don't know what that is and I don't care, right? Whereas like, I think by, approaching it, like if you're Reddit, approaching it from the perspective of like, who are Reddit's users and what do they want, it will help the people who use Reddit to like adopt it in their own way and like feel that sense of ownership, as opposed to like something's getting pushed onto them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to see where this goes. I mean, this has been, I feel like it's 6 or 7 months ago when this first got announced. And I know Starbucks is doing stuff with it too. Nike, like, there's some big brands, like, I think behind the scenes doing shit with all of this. They're just not super public about it, which I think is smart, So we'll see what happens. All right. New EIP, EIP 5805 was just merged. Please check it out and discuss it on the Ethereum Magicians forum post. This is mostly for, but not limited to, devs doing on-chain governance, level 2s, indexing and fronted, and then a great little tag for Tally XYZ. Frisson, you are our resident Ethereum expert. I know you probably wouldn't call yourself an expert, but I'll call yourself. You, compared to some of the people you look up to, you're not an expert. Like, relative to me, you are much more versed in the Ethereum world. What is this EIP? Why do we need to care about it? And how does it relate to DAOs?
Yeah, we're just going to get like a little technical with you. Nothing crazy, but just a little bit. So this is proposing some standards around delegation. So we've been talking a lot about delegation on this podcast. It's like probably the biggest trend in the DAO governance space right now, where projects are really encouraging delegation. Most of the high profile DAOs that have launched in the last year or so have really emphasized delegation in the claim flow. So when you go and claim an airdrop, like, they really want you to be thoughtful about like, if you're going to delegate the tokens to yourself, great, but like really wanting to participate in governance, or if you're not, delegating to someone else who is. And so there's a lot of like software development work going on in the space around delegation right now. We're certainly working hard on it at Tally. But this particular effort is to create like an on-chain standard around delegation, or to like add some on-chain standards around delegation. And the reason that's important is it allows, if you have like a well-designed on-chain standard, it allows anyone who's like permissionlessly building on Ethereum around delegation to kind of have their stuff work the same way under the hood, which then allows all of it to be compatible. So everyone's stuff can kind of like build on each other. And so yeah, so these are some like changes to the way delegation works, or not changes. They are a proposed standard to the way delegation works that will make it easier for everyone who's kind of building on top of that, building interfaces for delegation, things like that, to do it in a consistent and effective way. So we love to see this, and it's something we're certainly going to support at Tally as well. So yeah, check it out if you want to know like the good, the new that's happening in the DAO space from a technology perspective. I think understanding delegation and understanding this EIP is pretty important.
Virgin, if people want to get more involved, not involved, but like more educated on the technical side of DAOs, but they don't want to be overwhelmed, and maybe they want to know where should they start? What are the more basic, more important things they should be learning about? Where would you suggest them going? Because I know you've been pretty well documented that you've gone on like this amazing learning journey when it comes to Ethereum and like dev stuff. Like, where would you say they should begin?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the governor ecosystem is kind of like the center of like DAO base layer, like software development, on-chain development right now. And I think the cool thing about Ethereum and working in the space is that like all of that development is done in public. And so like literally, linked to from this tweet, there's a Ethereum improvement proposal, and then linked to from that is like the discussion around this EIP and like why it was implemented, with back and forth from like leading people in the space. So honestly, I think just diving into these forums, the ethereum.org, like Ethereum improvement proposal forums, and everything kind of surrounding the governor ecosystem on there is the right place to start, and just digging in, like figuring out who the players are, trying to understand what the different proposals are, and kind of like putting together a picture of how it works under the hood, I think is, a great approach. And if you like really want to know more, you should always just hit up Tally, because we are definitely like very involved in this work, and we can kind of point you in the right direction.
Absolutely. I mean, you kind of talked about it last week, and it sparked a good discussion around like the need to be somewhat technically sound. And I think viewing it not as like a requirement, like you have to do this in order to do it, and you kind of have a negative relationship with it. But I think for me, this is something I'm going through, like understanding the technical side of things is empowering you to be a better contributor to a DAO, a better internet citizen, better Web3 citizen. And it also just empowers you and gives you knowledge and confidence in that what you're saying and what you're doing maybe might not be accurate, but someone is going to respect you enough to call you out and give you criticism and correct you. So asymmetric bets, that's what we're here for, right? Definitely something I would encourage everyone to do, including myself. So hell yeah. Some news out of Tally. Tally's been shipping a lot this week. First, we had a great article from Content Guild contributor Maurice on the maker manager model for DAOs. It is a great piece on where the rubber meets the road in org design. What's the best way to structure org design for DAOs, how managers interact with makers, and how makers interact with managers, and what is the best way to form a synergistic relationship from that. A great quote is, explicitly differentiating between making and managing activities allow DAOs to minimize coordination issues to optimize value delivery. I think we talk a lot about big picture, high level, thought takey things in DAOs. And this is an article where I feel like it's kind of the opposite. And it's just, this is how shit actually works. This is how people interact. This is how people work. And this is how you should think about it. It's very simple, it's very concise, and it's a great model for you to think about as you're interacting with other people, because it's something for everyone. You're either contributing or you're either managing contributors, or you're just not in the DAO and you're lurking, which you shouldn't be doing because that's not fun. Thoughts on this article? I don't know if you had a chance to really dive into it.
Yeah, I think one thing that if you are tapped into DAO crypto Twitter that you've probably seen over the past couple of years is this meme that like DAOs get taken over by bureaucrats. We had a friend of Tally named Faces who has been very involved, in various DAOs. Read a whole article about this where there's kind of this natural progression where like when the DAO is created, it's a lot of makers, right? It's like people who can build. Maybe they're software developers, maybe they're designers, maybe they're just like creative people, right? Or they're, business development people, marketing people who can generate hype, but it's like people who can actually like directly drive traction with the product or the go-to-market or the community. And then over time, as the DAO grows, there kind of emerges this like new class of people who are more coordinating, politics, right? Management. And that's the management side. And in reality, like this management layer is actually essential for coordination of any like group activity that takes place at scale. But as Maurice highlights, like if your DAO is trying to scale, trying to figure out like how that should work so that there's kind of this right mix of makers and managers is pretty essential. So I think if you've seen that meme or are concerned about that in your DAO or other DAOs, taking a look at this article is probably a good place to start.
These articles come out on Tuesdays if you're not familiar with the content go to release on the Tally blog. All right. In less than 2 months, this thing's coming up pretty quickly. Ethereum Denver, ETH Denver is coming up. We have so many exciting things planned from DAO Talk, from Tally, from Content Guild. We're super excited about Ethereum Denver. I know Frisson is as well. And if you're going to be there, just shoot us a DM, add us on Twitter. We're really excited to meet everyone. Last time we had an event was in like June of 2022. DAO Talk had just kind of kicked off. We use that as a springboard. So we really didn't have a lot of, I don't like saying fans, but like connections from the space, from Tally, from Content Guild. And I think this is going to be a really great time to connect with everyone, especially I think we made a lot of really deep connections in this bear market. Not that it's over, but I'm excited for Ethereum Denver. I know Frisson loves the city of Denver, so I'm excited for him to take me around his favorite spots. I'm looking forward to it. Frisson, any thoughts on the greatest city in America?
Deepest powder skiing in the world, literally downtown Denver. That's why you should move there.
Oh my gosh.
Now I'll make it. I'll be in Denver. I'll stomach it. No, I'm super pumped for ETH Denver. It's in a new part of Denver. So if you're like an Ethereum OG, you're like, oh yeah, I'll just like stay in the art hotel and go to the sports castle with my homies. Don't do that because there's not going to be anyone there. It's on the completely other side of downtown. It's in the Rhino district, River Arts North. I don't know how that goes. I guess the RI is from River. Anyway, it's going to be a big event. Like, I don't think the bear market is slowing down. ETH Denver. It's always crazy because it's like free. And then they have a hackathon. So there's a lot of opportunities for developers to make money there, which is dope because a lot of developers come. And then there's also kind of this like local contingent people too, where people just roll in who live in Denver for whatever reason. And, because it's free, they can kind of like just jump in. So we're going to be doing all kinds of shit there. We got DAO Denver. It's like DAO NYC, slightly different flavor, slightly different vibe. It's in Denver. That's going to be during Biddle Week, which is like the week before the main event. It's going to be about 150 people. Bring in some partners on board like DAO Lens, Boardroom, and others who are going to help us out with DAO Denver. And we're going to just have like a half day sesh about DAOs. We're going to like focus in on topics we need to solve today and talk about it with the community. So hope to see you at DAO Denver. We're going to have a sick booth. We're going to be recording some pods. We're going to be we got a crazy new product announcement that hackers are going to be able to build on. And we're going to have some dope bounties for that. We're going to have sick swag, sick merch, like Tommy's designing the merch. So if you really like want to get some new fits, like you might want to start DMing him now just to like see how you could get in on that. But yeah, it's going to be fun. We'll see you there.
Yeah. Merch is going to be super limited, Tyler team will be dripped the fuck out. But if you want a piece of that, I'm not kidding when I say there's going to be very limited opportunities for merch. There'll be a ton of small stuff like stickers. We're going to do some cereal boxes. If you haven't seen our cereal boxes from Down NYC, aka inspired by the OG Airbnb story. If you don't know what that is, just search Airbnb cereal boxes. Some good collector's items there. But if you want to get the good stuff, just hit me up, DM me.
The swag's not going to be as good as Boys Club, which
is impossible.
That's okay.
Impossible.
Like, I'm not trying to take that crown, No. I'm trying to stay out of their lane, but like it's going to be really good. Maybe second place.
Yeah, I mean, Boys Club's on a different fucking level. Apparently I now it's a bit where I talk about Boys Club every single Down Talk episode, but I truly believe. Enough of that. We know my thoughts on Boys Club, but it will never be as good as Boys Club. But there'll be some good merch. There'll be some good swag. Definitely reach out if you want some. Let's end on some quick Tally feature news. We shipped 2 new features this week. Actually, they might have been shipped earlier, but we announced them. First one, which is a big one, Frisson. I call this the Frisson feature. He loves this feature. Human readable URL. So previously, if you looked at a Tally URL for a proposal or for a DAO page or really anything on Tally, it was extremely long. We can look at this one right here. You can see how long it is. Well, it's already fixed, so now it's gone. But you can see here, it's just tally.xyz/gov/hop. And this is the page for hop protocol. Super simple hop. For instance, if it was Uniswap, it would just be /Uniswap, and you can go see the page. Easy to find, easy to navigate to. Before, it would have the EIP, the proposal number, a wallet. There's like a ton of fucking numbers. It was just literally impossible to read. And if you wanted to enter it on a URL manually, good fucking luck. So we released human readable URLs. These are also customizable on your DAO homepage. So if you want to change it to something other than what is automatically set, go ahead and do that. Frisson put this announcement out. It is great. Go retweet it.
You really only need to focus on the emojis in this announcement. It's like a full story in 5 emojis. It's the flex emoji, the human genome sequence emoji, the crying emoji, the I don't even know what that's called, but it's basically like the drip emoji, and then the building emoji. Then that's basically all you need to know about what Tally's doing. Now, honestly, like we're just like building all the time, right? We have such an amazing engineering team, and they just be shipping improvements that make it easier to use DAOs all the time. This is like a pet project of mine. Like I joined Tally and I was like, people like to link to the DAO page on Tally, but like the URL looks like it's going to launch a rocket ship when you type it in the browser. Can we just like make it the name of the DAO? And we did it. And so, yeah, hell yeah, let's go.
Proposal simulations. Let me read this tweet from the mind of the penguin himself. You wouldn't want to create a DAO proposal without simulating it on Tally first, would you, Anon? Proposal simulation helps DAOs have confidence that proposals work as intended. Frisson, give us like a 2-minute breakdown, maybe less. What are simulation proposals and why are they important, my friend?
Simulate a proposal. This is like another, it's just like another polish element, right? If you're making an on-chain proposal, if you fuck it up, like you send it to the wrong address, or you put in a token that the DAO doesn't have, or something like that, it just goes on chain. And then you have to basically cancel it, and you have to like coordinate in your community, like, don't vote for this proposal, or like, we're going to cancel it, right? It's not good. You can't just like edit it later because you pushed it onto the Ethereum blockchain and it's just there. You don't want to have your like on-chain proposal live on Ethereum forever that you fucked up. That's not good. So what you need to do is just press the simulate execution button when you're about to create your proposal, and Tally will check to make sure you didn't fuck it up. If you didn't fuck it up, submit on chain. So yeah, it should be a nice like quality of life improvement going forward for on-chain governors.
Absolutely. just adding another level of safety net right there as we talk about features and what needs to happen to make this tech easier to use. Great feature coming out of Tally. As always, go subscribe to DAOtalk.substack.com to get the written version of this pod every week. Check out DAO Talk interviews. We got a new one coming out next Monday, I believe. We recorded it before this episode. That'll be the first one of 2023. We're going to have a lot of DAO Talk interviews this year. I'm going to announce it here. We're going to get Vitalik this year. I promise you we will. He will be on this podcast if it's the last thing I do. Other than that, I will see you next week, my friend. It has been an honor doing DAO Talk Weekly with you. And if you guys want to, hit us up on Twitter, have anything you want to talk about, yell at us about if we said something wrong, you can find me at Tommy Lauer. You can find Frisson at 0xFrisson on Twitter. The Penguin is unmissable. It's been an honor. I'll see you next week. Peace.
Peace.